here to introduce a candidate and hopefully the next mayor of Seattle, a Republican from Capitol Hill, Rachael Savage. We'd love to hear more about you, your story, and what you're about, and why we should support you.
Great.
Thank you.
My name's Rachael Savage, and I am running for mayor of Seattle. So it is official. So I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for giving me the time. And I know I don't look like I am running as a Republican, and I'm really happy about that. And I know I don't look like a Republican, or your average Republican. Well, exactly. What do they look like? I've been told. So I wasn't always a Republican. I have been a lifelong liberal, and I own a business on Capitol Hill. So for over 20 years, I've had a business right on Broadway. And I've never been particularly political, but what started to happen is more and more crime, the fentanyl epidemic. And so I have a front row seat to this catastrophe in our city. And the current mayor is not doing what needs to be done to help the everyday citizens, to help the business owners, and to help the addicts themselves. And so I started to pay attention, and I was always a liberal, but never a progressive. And what I didn't realize, and what I've come to realize when I started asking questions and investigating, was that the progressives have taken over the Democratic Party. And ensued lawlessness and people not getting arrested for committing crime. So I live in a neighborhood, and I know this is happening in many neighborhoods in Seattle, where crime is rampant and people aren't getting arrested, and then they're not getting the help they need for their addiction. And so I kept waiting for a candidate to arise, and no one's coming. So with the common sense solution, we need to arrest for crime, we need long-term residential treatment for the addicts, and we also need to help the mentally ill, the severely mentally ill. We need long-term hospitals for the mentally ill. And I believe that the city of Seattle we can build our own. So we are no longer dependent on the county and the state. So I started looking in and realizing, wait a minute, my principles are lining up with the Republican Party. I was the last to get the memo, by the way. So what happened is I started to pay attention in the 2024 election to the principles and what these candidates were running on. And what I realized is I'm voting all the way down the ballot Republican. And my principles are lining right up with the Republican Party. And so when I decided to run for mayor, before that, really, I changed parties. I became part of the Republican Party. And you guys have been so wonderful and kind and welcoming. It's a really refreshing change from the intolerance and hate that I was experiencing in the Democratic Party. So running as a Republican in Seattle, I think because of the new administration in Washington, D.C., the Trump administration, that we can get direct help. And so we don't have to worry about our governor or our King County executive, that as mayor, I can go directly to the feds and get the help that we need to build our own jail, build our own long-term treatment center, build our own mental health hospital, and really help all of the citizens. So that's the main plan for the catastrophe that's happened in our city. And then I think once we clean up the city and get the people the help they need, business is gonna come booming back. And I say we will build, baby, build. Let's make Seattle the New York of the West Coast. It can be done. We have a great city here, and I think we can have a renaissance and a revitalization with the help from the federal government. And this is the last thing I'll say. I think there's a lot more people that actually have the same principles as the Republican Party, this new Republican Party. They're just afraid. They need a strong leader who can let them know it's okay, and they can join the party or at least vote Republican. I think we have a chance in this city. I actually do, because we have common sense people, we have smart people in Seattle, and frankly, everybody's fed up. Yeah.
What about Seattle's a sanctuary city? So do you think that might change?
I think that my main focus is I want Seattle to be a law-abiding city. And so I believe that that's the law of the land, that's the federal law, and that we should be in line with federal law. And
All right.
yes, thank you.
Rachel, you said to make Seattle the New York of the West Coast, but go into that a little bit more, because you told me about how, you know, Capitol Hill in the 90s and how to bring back that cultural vibe.
Oh, yeah.
Share your vision there.
Well, I think once we take care of the crime, the rampant
Yeah.
crime, and we clean up the streets, that business will come back. And I've been on Capitol Hill forever. So in the 90s, Capitol Hill and downtown was such a fun place to be. I mean, you could go downtown and get a great outfit, have a great meal, get inspired, go see some art, go meet up with some people. You know, where can we bring our families to visit right now in Seattle? I mean, all we really have is the Pike Place Market. Everything else is a wasteland. So I think we can bring sophistication back and culture back to the city. And no matter where people live, I think in the state of Washington, Seattle, at least downtown and the whole city of Seattle, should be the jewel of the region. So I think we can do this, but we have, first things first, we have got to take care of the crime on our streets.
Beautiful.
How are you gonna encourage more police? I assume that you'd like to hire more police, and this police department is so demoralized because of what's gone on in the past council. How will you be able to get people to join up? And
Yeah, it's a tragedy what's happened to our police department. I'm pro-police. I think we need to celebrate our first responders. I think we need to give them the respect that they deserve. So they need to, there's a whole morale and attitude in the city that needs to change towards the police officers. And thank you.